All right, folks, so our goal in this video here is to save as much money as possible and keep our horses' nutrition at the highest performance to give them the best nutrients we can. And so what the heck am I talking about? Guys, I'm sitting here in my feed room. I've got my notepad. I've been crunching numbers this morning and finished riding training horses. Farrier's on his way, so I had some more time to sit down and visit. And like any of us that have horses know that as winter approaches, the grass goes away, our feed costs can go up, and it can get fairly expensive between grain and hay to keep our horses very conditioned, particularly if they're in work, and to give them those added nutrients that they need while still giving them a lifestyle of being able to go outside and graze and enjoy the grass. But see, when winter comes around, we know that the quality in the grass that they have access to is going dormant, so there's not as much nutritional value there. And so how can we essentially keep our horses performing at their top peak while not breaking the bank? And that's essentially what I've been wrapping my head around. And I've been interested in this concept for a long time, and the concept is referred to as fodder. It's the process of taking like barley grain that you could feed. It would just be like taking oats, or in this case it would be barley because it's the most effective, and taking those grains and germinating it and then letting it grow for 8 to 10 days to where you end up with a nice little hefty stem of grass. I'll probably put a little photo in for you guys to see in the video exactly what I'm talking about, and then feeding that to our horses as a forage, as a roughage. And it's not a supplement. It doesn't take the place of hay completely. It doesn't always take the place of grain completely, but it's more of a supplement to it where we can decrease our hay usage some, and in some horses' case we can maybe be able to eliminate their grains to almost completely. But what we're going to be looking at doing is reducing their grains to the recommended daily value of what they need. So taking, for example, our feed tags, looking at what is the minimum amount of that feed does the horse need each day to get the vitamins and minerals. But then, and a lot of times, like I've been doing the math here, and I'd be able to decrease my grain, the amount of grain and concentrate that I'm providing these horses, as well as some of the hay, because ultimately, with all my personal horses and client horses, I want to save money, but I don't want to reduce the quality in what we're providing. So nutrition, I'm a geek when it comes to nutrition, and I love, doing whatever we can to help the GI tract and to help keep our horses happy and healthy. And with this idea of fodder, it has to make sense economically for me. Running a business, and I think a lot of you guys that follow, and even if you just have horses recreationally, it's already expensive enough. We don't need to be breaking the bank setting up a fodder system, which is relatively easy to do DIY, which was what we're going to do. And I've crunched all the numbers to this point, and now it's the matter of actually just doing it. So my plan is to go to the store this afternoon, buy the stuff that we need, and get that process started. And pretty much I want to share with you guys this process as I want to try to cut down my hay usage by about 25%. So that means a matter of taking our hay from, if you had a 1,000-pound horse feeding about 20 pounds of hay a day, I want to take them down to about 15 pounds of hay a day, and then take their grain down to a daily minimum value, and that's going to depend on the horse, depending on what they're getting now and what the feed that they're on. But relatively giving them, say it's 5 pounds of feed. They usually say from 0.5 to 1.5 pounds per hundredweight on these horses when you read your feed tags. So that means if you had a 1,000-pound horse at 1 pound per hundredweight, you'd be feeding that horse 10 pounds of feed a day. So 5 in the morning, 5 in the evening, usually is what they recommend. In this case, I'd like to take them, if that's the recommended daily value, or take the recommended daily value, which would be their lower end of 0.5. So we get them down to 2.5 pounds in the morning, 2.5 pounds in the evening. And then, of course, I've got to cater that to the amount of work these horses are in, because grains are merely calories concentrated, and they need calories. Okay, when we get into this fodder, I'm going to do another video on what exactly the fodder is and to understand the specifics of it. But then I would be implementing 15 pounds of hay, give or take 5 pounds of grain a day, and 20 pounds of fodder a day. Fodder, real quick, is basically it's the sprouts. But if you have 10 pounds of fodder, 85% of that weight is water, and 1.5 pounds So 8.5 pounds of water, 1.5 pounds of roughage. So when you feed 10 pounds of fodder, it's not necessarily like giving them 10 pounds of hay, because hay is dried out. It is actual material, roughage material. When fodder, it's still a live plant. They eat the stems, the roots, they eat everything of that sort, and you guys will see this as we go through this. But they eat all of that, but there's a high water concentrate, which I do like, because in the wintertime we need to keep our horses hydrated and drinking, and this is a great way to provide them with a nutrient dense feed option that is high in water content. So that's basically what we're starting at. There's all sorts of specifics in the fodder nutrition side of things. Again, it's not a replacement of hay, and it's not a replacement of grain. It could be, I have like my wife's horse in here that's on very little grain as it is. We might be able to switch her off of it, depending on what the nutrient content is like, but she is in work, so we have to take that in consideration. But basically going to take you guys along for this journey and see if we can save some money, increase our horses' dietary structure, dietary needs, not increase their needs, but increase what we're providing for them over the course of the winter months, and seeing if this actually can make sense. So